Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Goldilocks. She lived with her father and mother in a little cottage at the edge of a wood. Her hair was so long and so golden that everyone called her Goldilocks, and even her mother had forgotten what her proper name was. Goldilocks used to play in the fields and woods all day long, and pick blackberries when they were ripe, and primroses and bluebells when they were in bloom. "You can play anywhere you like," said her father, "but Goldilocks, you must not follow any little path that goes deep into the woods." "Why not?" asked Goldilocks. "Because," said her father, "deep in the woods live the three bears in their cottage, and they may catch you if you go near them." "Three bears in a cottage?" said Goldilocks in astonishment. "Oh, Daddy, what fun! Do let me go and visit them." "Don't be so silly," said her mother sharply. "They'll eat you." "Oh, but Mummy," said Goldilocks, "I would like to see bears that live in a cottage just like us. Do they clean the front door knocker and wash the front doorsteps just like we do?" "If you ask any more silly questions," said her mother, "I'll send you to bed. And mind, Goldilocks, do what Daddy says. Don't go following any little paths into the heart of the woods." Well, of course, Goldilocks thought and thought and thought about the three bears who lived in a cottage, and the more she thought about them, the more she wanted to see them. She was not at all an obedient little girl, and at last she made up her mind that she really must go and see the three bears. "I won't go at a time when they're likely to be about," she thought, "just in case they might eat me. I shouldn't like that at all. Now, when shall I go?" Goldilocks was closely watched by her father and mother, for they knew she was disobedient. She found it very difficult to go exploring in the woods to find the little path that the bears used. "I shall get up very, very early in the morning," she decided at last, "when Mummy and Daddy are asleep, and then go and spy on the three bears. They'll be asleep too, so I shan't come to any harm at all. And won't it be fun to say I went and saw the three bears in the wood? Everybody will think I am very brave." So, the next morning, when the larks were singing and the sun was sending long slanting rays through the trees, Goldilocks got up and dressed herself. She slipped out of the cottage door and ran into the woods, skipping and dancing as she went along. "Where's the little path? Where's the little path?" she sang. And then she suddenly found it. It was the dearest, tiniest path she had ever seen, and it seemed to invite her to run along it. It wound here and there, as green as could be, and was bordered each side by wild strawberry plants, whose little red strawberries gleamed red in the sunlight. Goldilocks didn't stop for those, though. She was much too anxious to get to the bear's cottage. She ran along, most excited and happy. The path wound in and out through the trees, and then at last ran right up to the little white gate. On the gate was painted Bear Cottage. It led to a little cottage rather like Goldilocks's, only much smaller. She stared at it in delight. I do wonder if the bears are at home," she thought. "I'll peep and see." She tiptoed up to the front door, which was open, and looked in. No one was about at all. Goldilocks pushed the door right open and walked in. "I expect I'm the first little girl who's ever called on the three bears," she said to herself as she looked round. She was tired after her long walk, and looked for a chair to sit down on. There were three. One very big, one not so big, and one very small. "Father Bears, Mother Bears, and Little Bears," said Goldilocks as she saw the 3 chairs. "I'll try Father Bear's." She sat down in the great armchair. Oh my," she cried, jumping up again. "It's much, much too big. I'll try Mother Bear's chair." She sat down in Mother Bear's chair, but she didn't like that either. "Oh, it's so hard," she said. "It ought to have a cushion. I'll try Little Bear's." She sat down on Little Bear's chair. It fitted her perfectly, and was as soft and as cosy as could be. "Oh, this is lovely," said Goldilocks, settling herself well down into it. Then, crack! It broke, and down went Goldilocks on the floor. "Oh dear," she said. "What a nuisance. I do hope Little Bear won't be cross." Then she caught sight of the table. It was laid for breakfast. On it were 3 bowls of steaming porridge, one very big, one not so big, and one very small. "Oh, the bears have porridge," cried Goldilocks in delight. "I didn't know bears ate porridge. I wonder what it tastes like." She took up a spoon and tasted Father Bear's porridge. "Oh," she cried, "it's too hot. I've burnt my tongue. I'll try Mother Bear's." She put her spoon into Mother Bear's porridge and tasted that, but she didn't like it at all. "Oh, it's not sweet," she said. "I don't like it. I'll try Little Bear's." She tasted Little Bear's porridge, and that had treacle on, and was as nice as could be. "What lovely porridge!" cried Goldilocks. "I must have another taste." She went on tasting it until it was all gone. When she had finished, she looked round the room and saw stairs leading upwards. "I wonder if there's a bedroom," she said. "Do bears sleep in beds? I would like to know." She ran up the stairs and came to a tidy little bedroom with 3 beds in it. One was very big, one not so big, and one very small. "I'll try Father Bear's," said Goldilocks, and climbed up on it. She lay down, but she didn't like it at all. "It's much too hard," she said, and climbed down again. Then she tried Mother Bear's bed, but she didn't like that either. "Oh, it's much too soft," she said. "I'll try Little Bear's." She climbed up on the Little Bear's bed and snuggled down. "Oh, it's lovely," she said. "It's soft and warm and just big enough for me." She put her head down on the pillow, and what do you think? She fell fast asleep. There she was in the 3 Bears' cottage, sleeping soundly on Little Bear's bed. It was really a very silly thing to do. Now, all this time, the 3 bears had been out for a walk to let their porridge cool. After a while they came back, wiped their feet, and stepped indoors. Then Father Bear suddenly saw that his chair had been sat in. "Who's been sitting in my chair?" he growled angrily. "And who's been sitting in my chair?" cried Mother Bear. "And who's been sitting in my chair and broken it?" squeaked Little Bear sadly. Then Father Bear looked at the table and saw that his porridge had been tasted. "Who's been tasting my porridge?" he growled crossly. "And who's been tasting my porridge?" said Mother Bear. "And who's been tasting my porridge and eaten it all up?" squeaked Little Bear, crying. The 3 bears couldn't understand it. "Let's go upstairs and see if anything has been touched there," said Father Bear. So up they went. The first thing Father Bear saw was his bed, all crumpled and crushed. "Who's been lying on my bed?" he growled. "And who's been lying on my bed?" growled Mother Bear. "And who's been lying on my bed and is sleeping there now?" squeaked Little Bear in the greatest excitement. All at once, Goldilocks awoke and saw the three bears staring at her in angry surprise. She was dreadfully frightened and jumped out of bed at once. The bears made a grab at her and just missed her. Down the stairs she fled as fast as ever she could go, with all the bears lumbering after her. "I'll catch her!" cried Father Bear. "I'll catch her!" cried Mother Bear. "I'll catch her and eat her like she's eaten my porridge!" squeaked Little Bear, tumbling over the mat. But they didn't catch her. She was too quick for them, and ran panting down the path and into the woods faster than she had ever run in her life before. Soon she had left the bears behind, and after a long while she reached her home again. "I'll never be disobedient again," she sobbed when she told her father and mother all about her adventure. But they scolded her and sent her to bed for the rest of the day just to make sure. And you'll be glad to hear that she never was disobedient again, but grew up into quite a nice little girl. As for the three bears, nobody knows what became of them. They moved away and were never heard of again.